Hello, this is Dren, and today I'm going to continue on with some of the stuff I was talking about in the last video, Park It Up Here. And this will be an extension of the sound design variations that I was cranking out between Logic and Reaper. And then I'm going to show you how I might put those into FMOD, which is a game middleware. You'd use it with a game engine. You can use it with Unity. You can use it with Unreal. I've used it with Java. You can use it with all sorts of things. Anyway, yes, we made a game in Java once. And you can throw in your variations like I was showing in the last video, and then get them to playback so that every time you hear this sound in the game, it doesn't sound exactly the same. It's similar, but there's going to be enough variations that your ear isn't going, oh, I'm hearing the same sound, this is dumb. So that's what we want to do. So I'm going to show you how I would take those files that I bounced out from the last session and use them here in FMOD. So here's how that works. Okay, so I just created a new session in FMOD. There's nothing else going on in here. All you have to do to make a new event is you go here, new event, click to add a new sheet. I'm just going to click timeline sheet, and then you can just right click here, and then say add audio track. So that's how you get a new track, and this is in the events tab in FMOD. So here I've created 3 different audio events, or audio tracks. I might want more. So what you can see over here is I've got my Finder window with a bunch of the files that I'm going to put over here. Now before I do that, I know each one of these is going to be a new instrument. They call them instruments. It's a little weird. I think they used to be sounds, but now they call them instruments. So if you right click in the audio track, you'll get this list, and you can make a bunch of different things. I'm going to choose multi-instrument. Now the multi-instrument needs to be as long as your longest audio event, otherwise it'll stop playing before it plays through the tail. So what you see is what you get, and you're not seeing anything yet because now we have to open this up. You see down here at the bottom, I'm opening up this bottom little thing, and now we're going to see the playlist. So I had this closed just because I wanted you to see this other section here with all the audio tracks, but you can just open it up and see it here. So this is showing me my multi-instrument. You can see it right there, right? So I'm going to grab, let's start with the portal open sounds. So over here, I'm going to grab these 4 sounds, drag them right into here. And all right, so you can see I've got my multi-instrument here. Now I've got my headphones on so I can hear what the heck I'm doing. You can see here that this one lines up. You see where I'm pointing? That's the end of that sound. So you want to put this towards the end. If you want to zoom in a little bit, you can make this rectangle smaller, and then you can see a little bit better. It kind of snaps to the end of the last sound. All right, so I'll trigger these, and we'll call these are the sci-fi. So I'm just going to call this sci-fi layer, and hear it a few times. So I'll have similar elements, right? Okay, so now I'm going to grab the sludge layer, bring that over here. We want those to trigger a little bit later because there's something in the animation, and later I'll show what the animation is, where some sludgy sounds seem to be appropriate, but not right at the very start. So we'll call this one sludge. All right, you getting the idea here? We're going to make another multi-instrument here, and I'm going to grab the next one, synth layer. Got these here. I'm going to drag them here. And let's see how this sounds. Oh, it looks like I need to extend this a little bit. Just a little bit. And then this one seems okay. All right, see how these sound. Let's get that a little closer. All right. Now we're going to do another one. Multi-instrument. And open Thunder. Let's bring those in here. See how those sound. I think these need to be longer. Yeah. All right, and let's grab another multi-instrument. What else do we have here? Torch burst. You can drag them either to the green area here or to that area in the bottom. Now I'm going to show you in a minute how you can change some things here, but everything added. Oh, I didn't name these things, did I? I just started going crazy. Okay, so let's call this synth 2. Or synth. I think we had a sci-fi and we had sludge, and now we have, what's this, thunder? Torch burst. The other one's thunder. Torch. And this one's thunder. Right? Yeah. Okay, then what else we got? We've got another whoosh layer, and I'll add that. This is kind of the fun part. You get all your sounds together, and it seems like a drag having to go through and bounce out all these different versions of them. But then when you finally get it into FMOD or Wise, whatever you're using, it's kind of a fun exercise to go through and see how they work together this way. Okay, whoosh. Okay, so here's how the whole thing is. Okay. So every time you're triggering this, FMOD is going to play, I'm just going to move this out of the way a little bit. FMOD is going to play a different one of these sounds, right? And it's always randomized. So you see which one is playing because it highlights it for you. But you can't move these around. So well, if we move the whoosh over, you know, you can make all these kind of changes. And then obviously you can change the volume and whatnot. You can also grab these things and you can change the pitch. Now you can change it and just set them all down. Let's just listen to this one. Like maybe I just want this way down. All right. Maybe I don't want it that low, but maybe I want it to change every time, just a little bit. I can change it even more than just swapping samples. So if I right click on this, I can add what you call random, and then I can change it however I want. So if I put in a lot, that's going to be 9.12 semitones. So if we hear this, and then if I want to shift it more low, like maybe I want these to all go lower than the current tone, I can shift it down this way. Usually you don't want to change it that much, just kind of a slight bit of offset. So you can do that. So now it's changing by 3.36 semitones. Another nice thing to do, especially if you have a loop running, is you can change the offset. So that just changes where the sample starts. So I can change it to start later rather than here at the beginning. That works really well if you have some kind of loop that's playing along, and every time the scene opens, you don't want to hear the same part of the loop starting every time the scene opens. That won't feel very realistic. So let's say it's a crowd scene or something, and there's some kind of recognizable sound every time you start the scene. Maybe you don't want that sound every time you start the scene. It just doesn't feel natural. You can set the offset, and then every time you open it, it might start at a different place. And you can also set this the same way to be random. Just another way you can introduce more, you can add more random values to your sounds. You don't want to get too carried away, especially with something like this where I kind of designed the envelope on these things. So I don't think I want to change the offset on those. But I could change the volume. So what if I did just a slight little volume change on these? So I'll show you what it sounds like when we really change the volume by a lot. So that's a lot. That's too much. So let's just do it by a little bit. Maybe 3 dB. And then it gives you a little bit more variation as you're playing through all these sounds. So other things you can do, maybe you want these to all sound like they're in the same place, so you want a bus on them. So you can do that here in the master. Again, I got to that by clicking on the master track. You won't see it. Well, these are the tracks for separate audio tracks, but if I want to add an effect that affects all of these sounds when they play together, go to the master. Maybe I do want to have some reverb. So let's add a reverb here. Make that wet level a little bit louder, make it a little longer. So you get the idea. Now they sound like they're happening in the same place. And then obviously you can take these things and you can add as many sounds to each of these layers as you like to introduce more and more randomization and naturalness to your sounds. I was also going to show how you can change the percentage of what gets triggered. Now, shuffle will just completely play things not at random, but it will keep playing things that haven't been played. So if it's played sound A, the next one will be one of B, C, or D. And then if it plays C, then the next sound will be B or D. Until you run out of sounds, and then it picks another one at random. So that's the way that one works. You can also do completely randomized, which means that you could have one of the sounds play in a row a few times, which maybe you don't want that, but you could do that. And then you can set it for sequential, and that just will run through the whole scope of the sounds in the sequence that you want. So you can also set these percentages. So right now it just equally lays across the percentage against depending on how many sounds you have in there. But if you want one to play more than the other, you can set the play percentage here and it'll adjust. So maybe I want this one to play 50% of the time, and it's going to change the other ones. So now it's going to play Portale most of the time. Of course I have to play B. Play D. Played A. So it's going to favor that sound because we set it to 50%. So that's another thing you can do. All right, so there's a few things about FMOD and about making game sound assets that will sound like they're not repeating all the time. There's probably other videos about that, but since I was working on it, I thought that I'd just kind of show this progression I was using with Logic and Reaper, and then how that ended up working its way into FMOD for this particular project. I look forward to showing you the real game once it is released, which will be probably by the end of the year, hopefully. And then you can see how these things ended up working. So that is all for this one. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Okay, thanks. Bye.